The other day I was driving, everything seemed normal enough. Different cars were in their appropriate lanes as their drivers planned the route ahead. When all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came the blaring of a fire engine siren and flashing lights. We all know what happens then. Drivers do their best to get out of the way of the fire engine. There were a couple of cars who had to pull into a totally different lane than the one they were in. Other cars pulled over to the side and parked in all different directions just to let the fire engine pass. The scene after was a lot different than the scene before the fire engine arrived. As I thought about this, I thought about the will of God. Sometimes life can be seemingly normal enough when all of a sudden God's will intervenes, just like the fire engine. And just as the cars had to get out of its pathway, so when God's will intervenes, everything must get out of its pathway. Just as the plans of the drivers were changed and some even ended up in different directions, so it is when the will of God takes effect. Entire situations can be totally turned around and never the same as they were before God intervened. Our verse says, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." I want to remind you that God's will shall be done no matter what. I want to serve notice on governments today that you may think you are boss and your godless laws are so clever, but when God's will intervenes, all your plans have to get out of the way and you will know that He is in control. I want to remind believers who maybe think that their situation looks hopeless today, that God intervenes in the Red Seas of our lives. And even the Red Sea has to get out of the way when God's will is done. Trying to stop the will of God is trying to stop a river flowing by holding up a lollipop stick. God's will shall be done. Can I remind you, child of God, that the best place you can be today is in the will of God. Be encouraged.